Blake Lively completely exposes herself.
Like, I want to have more authorship.
Blake Lively just exposed herself in the worst way possible by casually admitting she ruined actors' lives on set.
Realizes what she's.
From Penn Badgley to co-stars she simply couldn't stand. She made sure their time on set was miserable. But now that Justin Baldoni is calling her out with actual receipts, her entire history is unraveling faster than she can spin a new narrative.
So she's a serial fraudster. That's called fraud. And that she and her husband are bullies.
And honestly, I must say Justin Baldoni had been screaming for help, but no one was listening.
She would have full control.
For months, he tried to warn people about Blake Lively's manipulations, how she hijacked It Ends With Us, rewrote scenes behind his back, and pushed him out of his own project like he was some unpaid intern. But Hollywood wasn't interested in his side of the story.
She hit on their hands. That's why she took control. That's why A-list producers brought.
Blake had already positioned herself as the fearless woman fighting against the industry's outdated norms. The second she framed it as a man trying to suppress a strong female voice, the industry lined up behind her like she was leading a revolution.
And there's even more in this interview that we're about to watch in the live feed that you're not going to miss, because just the tone-deaf approach to everything she does, it is so...
No one bothered to ask why a director and producer who had secured the rights to the film and built it from the ground up was suddenly the villain. Blake had created the perfect smokescreen, and it worked until it didn't. Then, out of nowhere, a 2022 interview resurfaced, one that changed everything.
This monster. I'm sorry, and everyone's asking what year. This is 2022. It's literally a year right before they shot the movie. So she is going into this movie knowing, that's...
In this clip, Blake Lively wasn't just hinting at her behind-the-scenes tactics. She was flat out bragging about them. She admitted, without a hint of shame, that she tricks directors and producers into thinking she's just an actress, only to turn around and seize control of the entire creative process.
Blake is caught in old footage, revealing that yes, her secret plan is to always take control of the movies and lie to the directors.
It was a confession hiding in plain sight, and Andy Senior and Kim from Popcorn Planet wasted no time tearing it apart. The more they dissected it, the more undeniable it became. Blake had just confirmed in her own words that she did exactly what Baldoni accused her of doing.
There's a interview that we've uncovered. A lot of people have uncovered it, so kudos. I don't know where
it's resurfaced.
I don't know where this stemmed from first, but whoever started plastering it to all of us and emailing it to us.
In this interview, Blake casually explained that she never reveals her real intentions when auditioning. She knows that if directors and producers had the slightest clue that she planned to take over writing, costumes, direction, and basically everything, they wouldn't hire her.
Where completely exposes herself and just says it out loud with no qualms. This is what I do. The whole thing Justin's put out in his documents, she just admitted. And you even said it before we play this clip, Kim. You know, there's no way his lawyers had this, because wouldn't this be in the documents? This is exactly what they're...
So she plays the perfect role, sitting through meetings, nodding, smiling, acting like she's just there to say her lines and go home. But the second that contract is signed, that's when the real Blake comes out. She starts inserting herself into the storytelling, making demands, changing character arcs, and deciding how scenes should be shot, all under the excuse that she needs authorship to feel fulfilled.
It's actually insane to watch, and I'm very surprised that she felt comfortable enough to say all of this out loud. And I don't feel like it's taking things out of context. I don't feel like it's manipulating her to look a certain way. This is her talking. This is her interview where she is being honest.
Some directors went along with it because they didn't want to cause drama. But others? They were completely blindsided. They had hired an actress, not a co-director, not a producer, not a studio executive. They weren't expecting to wake up one morning and find Blake suddenly in control of their film.
Is just say, I have no qualms lying to the director, taking control of their movie, pulling the rug from them. Like, oh my.
And the most ridiculous part? She admitted this was all intentional. She literally called it a rug pull, acknowledging that filmmakers felt tricked by her approach. But rather than feel bad about it, she laughed it off like this was just some quirky little habit of hers. And let's be clear, this wasn't just some enthusiastic actress getting too involved. This was calculated.
Believe in this, and that's why I'm standing up for it, and that's why I'm not being difficult. And then there are other moments to go like, am I the asshole in the room? Like, what is happening here? I would show up on a set. I knew that they just wanted me to show up and look cute and stand on a little pink sticker where I'm supposed to go and say what I'm supposed to say.
Blake knew she had to hide her true intentions until she had full control. She knew that if she showed her real hand too soon, the job wouldn't be hers. So she pretended to be the team player, let them believe she was just there to act, and the moment she had her foot in the door, she took over. This wasn't a collaboration. This was a full-scale takeover.
Like, that wasn't fulfilling for me, that I wanted to be a part of the storytelling, that I wanted to be a part of the narrative, whether that be in the writing, in the costume design, in creating the character. And sometimes I had directors or producers or writers who would welcome that and invite that once they saw that I was able to offer that. And sometimes I would have people who really resented that because they were like, we just hired you to be an actor.
The timing of this resurfaced interview couldn't have been worse for Blake. Because for months, Justin Baldoni had been dismissed as just another fragile male director who couldn't handle a woman having a voice.
I feel that I actually need to have authorship in order to feel fulfilled. So I think that for them, sometimes that might have felt like a rug pull because you're like, you're trying to assert yourself into something that we didn't hire you to do.
But this clip proved it was never about ego or control. It was about the fact that Blake had done to Justin exactly what she openly admitted to doing to other directors before him. She had pulled the rug out from under him, seized creative power, and when he tried to push back, she flipped the script and made him the villain.
Be an actor. Like, I want to have more authors.
And the worst part? She genuinely seemed to think she deserved this level of control. She didn't see it as overstepping or taking something that wasn't hers. She saw it as her right. And because of her connections, her industry status, and her ability to manipulate public perception, she got away with it for years.
I don't think she even realizes what she's admitting. Sometimes they'd let me and sometimes they wouldn't. And that then she goes further and says, I would just lie to them in the audition process and make them think I'm just an actress to do it.
But this time, she couldn't twist the story. There was no PR spin that could erase the fact that she had admitted to everything herself. Her own words had finally caught up with her, and for the first time, Hollywood was forced to stop and actually question the version of events she had been selling.
You knowingly admitted that's what you do. They want an actress, they hire an actress, they pay you to be an actress. That's your...
And honestly, at this point, Blake Lively isn't just admitting to manipulating directors, she's fully justifying it. In her mind, she didn't do anything wrong. She didn't overstep. She didn't hijack films. No, she deserved it. Because apparently, simply acting in a movie isn't enough for her. She needs full-blown creative authorship.
You... exactly what Justin's accusing you of. And imagine if Justin had just had known this, if this clip had gone viral before to avoid this.
This is exactly what she said, loud and clear, in her 2022 Forbes Power Women's Summit interview. She sat there proudly describing how she misleads directors into hiring her, only to take over their projects once she's in.
It's extremely unprofessional to walk in when you're given a position and your job is to do that position, and then as you complete that, then potentially more responsibility is given to you. Or you can then voice like, hey, I'd like to try this. And it's organic, but you have to work with the team. Every workplace is a...
And the way she framed it, like she was on some kind of noble artistic quest, like she was just this poor, misunderstood creative soul who needed more control to feel fulfilled. But let's be real, that's not how the industry works. There's a reason acting, directing, producing, and writing are all separate jobs.
He believed everybody else. He put his money into it. He put everything into that project. And then he says, I want you, Blake. Blake's a little bit, and then he's even willing to give her.
And the irony? Blake clearly thinks she's some creative genius. In this interview, she talks about reshaping projects like directors are just placeholders for her actual vision, as if the professionals running the movie weren't doing a good enough job without her divine intervention. And that's where her whole argument crumbles. If she really wanted creative authorship, she could have written her own movies.
Authorship, that's not autonomy, that's control, that's selfishness, that's entitlement. This woman is a
She could have done what Ben Affleck did with Good Will Hunting, created something from the ground up. But she didn't. Instead, she latched onto projects she wasn't hired to control, inserted herself where she didn't belong, and acted like her opinion mattered more than the people who were actually in charge.
I am so angered by her ability to think she can just take control and she knows better and just steamroll it.
That's exactly why Andy Senior and Kim from Popcorn Planet didn't hold back. They called her an unprofessional control freak. And honestly, there's no better description. This isn't ambition. This isn't passion. This is straight up disrespect for the filmmaking process. She never respected the directors she worked with. She saw them as obstacles she had to work around.
And now is trying over. I'm sorry, I don't see it. You got the whole movie. You took control of the whole thing. You completely destroyed him emotionally, physically, everything. You can tell from all the interviews.
And that's what makes this interview the smoking gun in Justin Baldoni's case. Everything he accused Blake of doing to It Ends With Us, she openly admitted to doing her entire career. Justin wasn't just some hired actor. He built this movie from the ground up, secured the rights, developed the project, and was hired as the director. It was his movie.
Complaint. I truly believe that in my heart because it's absolutely crazy as you listen to this. She really does just kind of lie.
But the second Blake showed up, she overwrote his decisions, rewrote scenes behind his back, and eventually pushed him out of his own project. And when he tried to call it out, she played the victim.
And I have questions. That's all.
You're like Forbes Power Women, and
Yeah.
she's so confident. Exactly. I think that's so telling how confident she is to just say, I have no qualms lying to the director, taking control of their movie, pulling the rug from them. Like, oh my.
She flipped the narrative, acting like she was being silenced by an oppressive industry when in reality, she was the one taking control of something that wasn't hers to begin with. That victim act worked for a while, but now this interview has completely shattered it. If Justin had this clip earlier, his case wouldn't have even been a debate. It would have been over in a second. Because Blake didn't just do what he accused her of, she bragged about it.
That's called fraud. When you pretend you want to do the one thing and you'll do the thing they're hiring you for, but all along you have secret plans to do something very, very different that's above your pay.
She called it taking authorship, as if she was owed control over every movie she starred in. But here's the kicker. No one ever gave her that authority, and she knew it. She admitted that some directors resented her interference, but instead of taking that as a sign that maybe, just maybe, she was overstepping, she laughed it off.
Bumped into someone who was weak enough and not famous enough to stop her, right? This Justin Baldoni, most people had never even heard of him. He'd been in like one series. He certainly wasn't at Ryan Reynolds level fame, never mind Blake.
And that's what makes this whole situation even worse. She knew her actions frustrated the directors. She knew they felt blindsided by her constant interference. But she never stopped. Why? Because she genuinely believed she was above them. She assumed that no matter what, she had the right to reshape films however she wanted. That level of entitlement is insane.
Him into giving her the movie where she did her own cut. They released the cut of the movie. He didn't even get to see it. He was the director of the film, the producer of the film, the guy who got the rights to the film, the one who's supposed to be in control. He didn't even get to see it. He was in the basement of his own movie.
And it's also exactly why Justin never stood a chance. Because if someone like James Cameron tells an actor to stick to acting, they listen. But when the director is someone like Justin Baldoni, a first-time feature film director who wasn't as famous or powerful as Blake or Ryan Reynolds. She saw an opportunity.
She saw someone she could push around.
And she did. Justin Baldoni's shocking allegations against Blake Lively have sent Hollywood into a frenzy. Accused of hijacking his film, manipulating the cast, and even barring him from his own premiere, Blake's alleged power moves are now under scrutiny. With resurfaced interviews and damning reports, her carefully crafted image is starting to crack. Will Justin's lawsuit be the final blow? Let us know your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more updates on this unfolding Hollywood scandal.